AITA for exposing my wife's essay to her family. Trigger warning. Hi. 33M, my wife, 32M, is very pregnant, 8 months, with our first child. We've been together for almost 15 years now, and just recently, shortly after she got pregnant, she revealed that she was sexually abused by one of her uncles when she was a child. I won't get into details, but it happened from ages 9 to 12 and the stuff he did to her was horrible and disgusting. I'm the first person she's ever told, and she said the reason she wanted me to know was because she's been having nightmares about him hurting our baby and she doesn't want our child anywhere near the guy. She's also the first in the family to have a baby, and she's been trying to find a way to speak to the family about this because she doesn't want any of her future nieces and nephews to be around him either. I've been encouraging her to speak with her mother for months, but she tears up whenever the topic comes up and getting her to talk about it, even with me, is like pulling teeth. I suggested she find a therapist, and even offered to go with her if it would make it less scary, but she says she's not ready to talk about it. Anyways, her parents are in a book club and they do a lobster bake once a year and invited us. I thought it was going to be the book club plus my wife's 2 brothers, but they invited several other relatives, including the uncle. This was the first, and hopefully last, time I've seen him since my wife told me what he did, so it was the first time I noticed how visibly scared and uncomfortable my wife gets around him. And the guy had the audacity walk up to my pregnant wife and hug her after what he did to her. When I saw that, I went over to them and told him never to put his hands on her again. The uncle went completely white, walked away, and I heard from my MIL he left the party immediately after. Even after he left, I was angry all night. My wife says I was overreacting, but seeing him talking to her and hugging her like everything was completely normal between them was just too much. I asked my wife several times if we could leave, and she said she wanted to stay. She said I could leave and her brother could give her a ride home, but to be honest, I didn't want to leave her alone in case the uncle came back. Again, she says I'm overreacting. At one point, my MIL came up to me and said the uncle told her he left because I made him feel unwelcome. She asked if there was a problem, and I said I wasn't going to just sit there and watch a child molester hug my pregnant wife. My MIL was visibly shocked, and when she asked what I meant, I told her the uncle molested my wife and it's clearly eating her up inside, but she's too scared to talk to anyone about it. My MIL told her husband and her 2 sons, and that night there was a sort of family meeting to discuss what happened / what to do. My wife was sobbing and couldn't even get the words out, so I pretty much filled the family in on what happened to her. As I thought they would be, the entire family was both devastated, there were lots of tears, and supportive of my wife. They've encouraged her to speak with a therapist, she recently had her first session, and also file a police report, which she's done, so he can't do it to someone else and can hopefully get some peace. The last few days my wife has been crying nonstop and doesn't really get out of bed. It's clear she's incredibly hurt by what I did. She said she wasn't ready to talk about it, and I strong-armed her into it. She also said it took a lot for her to tell me, and I broke her trust by impulsively blurting out the truth to her mom. My wife's older brother has told her I did the right thing, and that any man would have that reaction, if not a worse reaction, if they saw the guy who did that to their wife. I can tell my wife is trying to forgive me, but is having a hard time. I feel conflicted. Honestly, telling her mom was an emotional reaction to seeing that guy touch my pregnant wife, and I wouldn't have done it under different circumstances. I obviously feel horrible I've opened up this can of worms before my wife was ready and that I've made her so unhappy. On the other hand, I'm happy she's now seeing a therapist and has filed a police report. Most of all, I'm glad her family finally knows the truth so she never has to be around that man again and she won't have the stress of having to tell them with a new baby. Basically, I go back and forth between feeling relieved my wife has started the healing process and devastated that I broke her trust as she says. AITA?